Testing again. Testing. Let's have a moment of silence for the late, the great Quincy Jones.
What would you say to my generation?
You don't go for money or fame. Because if you do your shit that moves you, it's going to happen.
One thing I really appreciate about Quincy Jones, I mean, well, first of all, his compositional skills are off the charts, of course. His compositional the skill and mastery, even in the early stages, even in the 50s, was extraordinary. He really set the standard for everyone else. Another thing that's really impressive about him is that he started, as part of a band. Next thing you know, he's leader of a band, and then he's producing other people's other bands, other artists, and he's just doing whatever he wants with his life. And not only is he a legend, but the artists that he's produced are legends in their own right for their own reasons. And the whole everyone that came after Quincy Jones owes some aspect of their artistry to Quincy Jones. He's not the only one. I mean, James Brown is kind of the same way. He started in a band. He was just part of a band. Then he's the leader of the band. Next thing you know, he's, well, I guess he's always just been his own producer, really. Uh, but yeah, I I really admire that self-starter attitude and um, the drive that they had, and you can see it again with like Dr. Dre and Kendrick, and Jay Dilla. There's all these heroes that have, they started from, you know quote nowhere, and nobody starts from nowhere. There's always there's an influence, there's a spark. The muses speak to them, uh, but from from humble beginnings to some kind of extraordinary greatness, and some of it is talent that they're born with, and some of it's luck, or and some of that luck could be just like being born into a family. Like, you have to have that luck of music being part of your house growing up, or I guess be you have to be curious and interested. Um, there has to be that spark. They have that spark, and it's what I admire. It's what I admire about Kendrick right now. Is I'm definitely Team Kendrick. Um, I'm recording this part of this episode a little uh, on Monday after the Grammys, so it's oh, okay. So I figured he would win something for some part of that. For Not Like Us specifically, I'm not surprised at all, and it tickles me to get five. Like, okay, like two or three, I probably would have been a little less surprised. Would have been impressed, but not as surprised. Five, five. Okay, so he basically won a Grammy for each one of the diss tracks plus GNX, and that's and and by the time this airs, right after this airs, he's going to be over there at the Super Bowl. It's the only part of the Super Bowl I want to see. I'm really excited about it. I know Super Bowl halftime shows are not. They the stadiums are built for it, but they don't really do the halftime show in a way that the sound quality is usually falls a little flat. Yeah, so what I admire most, I admire a lot of Kendrickness. It took me a long time to get into his music. Um, like a long, it took me a long time. I was basically there's like years where I was shutting my ears and shutting my eyes and going la 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 la. There's nothing to be said about rap music right now. And the whole time I was saying that, you know, I missed out on like Joyner Lucas and Kendrick Lamar and J. Cole, and there's so much. There's been so much great rap going on, and I think some people like I don't know what I don't know what people's deal is in Facebook comments, but you see a lot of haters. There's always some haters, and I know I need to get off of social media. I need to like touch grass and live my life, and that's another thing. That's another separate thing. But like, okay, so like J. Cole. J. Cole's producing his own beats. And every time it's like that, I'm just blown away. It's God, I gotta give him props for his production skills. Um, and that's just a lesson in general, puts him on. He puts him on the spot and he helps get the distribution, helps those deals get through, and then that's a whole group that turns into a whole, you know, it's more than just generational wealth. It's community wealth. It's yeah, community wealth is the right word. So the right phrase. It's I just admire the it's good to have systems like that in place. So uh, yeah. So now like Kendrick came up through Dre in basically the same, Kendrick's doing his own thing and TDE is its own label and they're killing it. I mean, the whole label is just fire. And then Dre comes through. He's in they're in the neighborhood. They're all Compton, so that helps. And again, it doesn't feel lucky to be born in Compton, but then doesn't it? Right? I mean, it doesn't feel lucky when you're on the street side of it, but then you get to the musical side of it, and you're like, oh wow, there's so much beauty here. Um, yeah, there's a show. Speaking of Compton, there's this show called Them. I love that show. It's directed by Little Marvin. Wow, wow. Like okay, like let's spend a moment talking about Little Marvin. Cause okay, so Them is a really unpleasant. Like it's so hard to watch. It's so heartbreaking and upsetting, and I really can't stress enough, especially episode 5. Like trigger warnings all the way through, y'all. If you've ever been afraid of being traumatized from a movie, this is this will do it. I mean, it's part of the point of this is to make you feel the moments and to make you get into the mind of a black person who's experiencing prejudice. And Little Marvin is just such a brilliant director. It's just like wow, like okay, from my perspective, I think that if you can say that Breaking Bad and The Wire are incredible shows, um, I would recommend you get one step further and check out them. Them is something special. Also, like the symbolism that gets used, the paranormal aspects to the show, because the horrible parts are done by humans, and that's kind of the point. Like a lot of this, like remember Lovecraft Country. So I feel like Lovecraft Country kind of fell short of its goal. I wasn't like I liked. There's some moments that were really powerful and like I was crying and was like really excited and stuff, and then half of the show was like, come on, y'all, like you just didn't, you just. And I don't blame Jordan Peele. I blame J.J. Abrams. I just think that this didn't need that many producers on the creative side of things. You'll just have to see it to understand what I'm talking about. This is the way that he's delivering the information with the camera. It's not just the cinematography, and it's not just the mise en scène. It's both of those things too, also. But it's like I was saying in the choreography at the gaffers. This is the way that I'm speechless. It's so good. I mean, it's horrifying, but it's so well made. Uh, I'm sorry. Them, go check out them. And I'd like to apologize if I use them in a way that sounds like they, them. You know, I'm not part of this culture. I'm just a big fan. I'm, I'm I just admire. I just think black people are awesome, and I don't want to see a bunch of hatred and stuff. I want to see some love and appreciation. There's so much to appreciate. There's so much culture to appreciate. I mean, not only with black culture, but today's episode with what we're focused on is just that there's so many hidden gems in the world, and there's so much there's so much out there to appreciate. Um, so like J Cole, I forget which album it was, but it was one of his first albums, or the first album. He had like six songs. Six of the songs were in the top 20 Billboard top 20 at the same time, and it's a record that hadn't been matched since since the Beatles. I think Kendrick just did it with GNX. We're gonna come back. Let's come back to Kendrick real quick. Man, Gloria. So a lot of people, everyone has their favorites. I love Man at the Garden. I love Luther. A lot of people talk about TV Off and Squabble Up and Whacked Out Murals. Those are all cool. Everything I just said was cool. Heart Part 6. I love that there is a Heart Part 6 on there. That was one of my favorite. Like, just seeing that on the track list before I even press play was a guarantee that I would press play. Just because, man. And of course, it's better than Drake's whatever version. Like, I didn't even listen to it. I just skimmed the lyrics because I didn't want to hear it. I just wanted to be like, oh, I want to know what this is about. But I couldn't actually listen to Drake's version. But this is great. Kendrick's version was awesome. But that's not the most important song. I feel like Gloria has been completely underappreciated. And it was the first one that I got into. It was hard for me to get into GNX the first couple times I listened to it. Because I listened to it all the way through, and I got stuck on a couple of songs. I had to listen to them over again because, like, hell yeah. And then I got to Gloria, and then I just listened to Gloria for fuck. Well, because what, the album came out about 9 a.m. and I found it, the social media talking about it around 10 a.m. So like an hour later, um, and I'm not sitting here saying like, oh, I'm ahead of things. I'm saying like the marketing was super smooth on this shit. Like they made sure not me finding it, but them pushing it. That was well done. So, uh, but yeah, Gloria, holy cow, wow, what a masterpiece. Oh, holy crap! And it's not because you see how he caught the bodies and wiggled through that sentence. My God. Um, SZA's on there. She won at least one Grammy. Um, Again, I'm thinking about Gloria gets me emotional every time. Every time. What a beautiful song. That's and I like that better than Gloria. And I saw Van Morrison perform that live, and it was fire. But like, man, Kendrick just did that. He just wow. So much talent. Um, I love so many of his songs. My favorite album by far is To Pimp a Butterfly. Um, I got into that kind of first. It was through the unmixed, unmastered demo or mixtape, whatever that he released the bootleg on the side. With "Head is the answer," and that made me giggle. Like, and he's strumming the guitar, and I'm like, oh shit! Like he can play like pretty much any instrument, or at least I don't know how well he could play any instrument, but he could play most of them better than I could play any given instrument. So I'm like, damn. And so that got me really listening, and all the I loved how jazzy the unmixed unmastered was. It had that. It was very much like Diggable Planets. Um, we'll talk about that. Let's say that. Shout out to Diggable Planets and Shabazz Palaces. Um, I love that. They're cool like that. So yeah. Man, and to Pimp a Butterfly is just like it's so heavy. It's so righteous and heavy. And he stays heavy. And like Mr. Morale, I just went through and listened to everything, and then got to Mr. Morale, and then Mr. Morale came out, and like the first one that I really appreciated was the one he did with Beth from Portishead. That was pretty cool. That's the kind of unexpected thing that Kendrick will bust out of nowhere, and he's just his he's got he's he's on some other plane of existence, and this is the only part of him that we can see. In those other dimensions, he's probably taller than most buildings, but we can't see that part because those parts are in those other dimensions. He's just on half of him is on another planet, and yeah, so that they're communicating with each other. Um, I don't know, I'm just geeking out about that. That's probably enough Kendrick talk because we got so much to talk about. Cole has his own label. Kendrick has his own label. They've done beats for each other. High Power, J. Cole did the beat for that. It's a great song. Kendrick doing the raps and J. Cole on the beat. Um, I would say I'm Team Cole, but I'm not. I'm Team Kendrick in as far as the beef goes. As far as artistry goes, I mean Cole is every bit as talented. He's got a lot of compassion. Like Kendrick has the anger, and Cole has kind of a sadness to him, and in a way that they're two sides of the same coin. But he has his own label. So it's kind of like, and speaking of Kendrick, because he's working with South Park dudes, but like, so South Park is part of South Park Studios, and South Park Studios is um, part of Comedy Central, which is owned by Viacom, which is a subsidiary of Paramount. Right. So uh, all of that to say that like Kendrick is Kendrick, but he's also PG Lang, the label, and then PG Lang label. Uh, I'm not actually sure what happened there. I assume that he just went off on his own with no hard feelings, but then TDE claimed him in their posts. So we could say maybe that he's part of it's his own label, an imprint of TDE, which is an imprint of Interscope. You know, they're all in chains, and it's all owned by Interscope, which is owned by UMG. And at the top of things is kind of a monopoly. And in the reality of things, this is how an individual artist gets to keep their royalties and gets to maximize distribution and marketing. You know, if they got it like that, then this is the pathway to get their music out there. Um, Creating the distribution network, it's not that it's impossible. It's very difficult, and you can see how between certain people like Dre and Quincy Jones, Jay Z, you know, they paved the way for a Def Jam, of course. Come on now, Def Jam Records, of course. How all of these paved the way for a distribution network or sort of legitimacy of the craft, where a lot of derisive comments might have been made in 1982. They just don't fly in 2025. They just don't. It doesn't work that way. So Cole's got his label, Dreamville. I think it's Dreamville. Um, One of my favorite artists on his label. And again, it's like Cole is Cole. Cole is Cole. And then Ari Lennox is on his album, on his label. And the only song I'm really familiar with from her, and it's always in my head. It's always in my head. It's a backseat Ari Lennox. I mean, yeah, I love her voice. She has such a unique voice, and um, it reminds me kind of Macy Gray, kind of sort of, and then she has just her own style, and I really appreciate it. Some other artists I've been really into lately: Sharon Jones, Psalm One, Jean Grey, sorry, Bahamadia. Oh my God, Bahamadia is fire. It's just like, wow. It's got a lot of old school. Psalm One also, and all of them. Like, sorry, Sharon Jones is a soul singer. So the other three that I just mentioned are just like, whoa, like, wow, just like the lyrical flow, the consciousness of it all, just mind blowing, and I'm really impressed. Um, yeah, I really appreciate Pharaoh Monch. I first got into it after listening to Eminem and hearing him say things like, "When I'm on that Pharaoh Monch grind, sometimes he come by." I really like. Uh, I was not as surprised as you would think to find that uh, Eminem basically borrowed his whole flow from Pharoah Monch, and Pharoah Monch doesn't really get that as the same sales volume, even though he's got better lyrics and better style. So that's unfortunate. I love Morning of Black Star. They're one of my favorite newer bands. I mean, they've been around for a minute, but you know what I mean. Like, they're amazing. The vocal harmonies and the song structures and the beats and the experimental style and uh, like, man, you just got to hear what they sound like. They're amazing. Another vocalist I really like is Mary Clayton. You probably recognize her from "Gimme Shelter" by the Rolling Stones. That's a really sad story. Um, I heard it in "Sound Man" by Glenn Johns. It's his autobiography. Um, he mentioned he has a story where he was recording Mick Jagger in the middle of the night, and they got Mary Clayton. They called up Mary Clayton, and she's asleep. She's pregnant, and she doesn't want to do it at first. And then they say, her boyfriend and eventually husband, like after this, they were still together for a long time until his death. I think I have to read that again. She's had a really long, sad life, but she's also like she's got a really like a positive. All of her songs are super positive and like optimistic and like yeah. To the contrast between those two things alone is inspirational. She's got it's, most of her songs are more like gospel style. I love it a lot. I love her style a lot. Um, so yeah, so she's in the studio. She ends up going. It's the middle of the night, and she's pregnant. She's like in her slippers and rollers in her hair. Like that's how it's described in Soundman. She didn't get dressed up for this. She's like called in to work in the middle of the night. She just wants to do her thing and go home, go back to sleep. She ends up recording, until the morning, all like hours and hours. And you've heard "Give Me Shelter," yeah. I mean, she's belting it out. I mean, she's just giving it 110%, and I assume that she always does. It's just seems to be how she is as a performer, always giving 110%. She lost that baby. She blames that recording session for that. You know, I think about. There's a lot to think about there. There's a sort of symbolism to the whole thing. Like Mick Jagger is rich enough that he doesn't have to work at all. By the time he calls her into the studio, he's already that rich and famous. Like, he doesn't need to record another song, period, let alone rushing it in the middle of the night or, tonight versus the night next night. Um, Mary Clayton is incredible. I've been getting really into Boots Riley lately. Uh, I really liked "Sorry to Bother You." That was really weird, and I love weird. I like the ending, and I like the premise. Just all around enjoyable movie, fascinating movie. It's a rare treat, Like sometimes people, like I was saying before, like it movie, and then content. You know, it's refreshing. And "I'm a Virgo" is even better there's a lot to love. There's a lot to love about it. My favorite part, of course, is the sex scene. It's a very strange. It's a very strange scene, and uh, I feel, I feel, I feel like us as the audience, even though we didn't necessarily quote need to see that, there's by the time you get to that scene, there's no one in the audience who's like, how the fuck would that even work? It's like, well, let me show you. Alrighty then. So, it, it's really well made and it's fascinating. There's so much to love about it. I mean the green screen and forced perspective and the giant puppet. It had like a 30-foot puppet or something crazy like that, just like a giant freaking puppet to make this thing. It's like, whoa. It's hard to pick a favorite album from last year because there's so many good albums last year. But I'm gonna have to go with Auditorium, produced by Pete Rock, and Common is on there as the MC. It's just like, man, that was just it. Like anyone who's like, you know, blah blah blah, rap is dead, blah blah blah. I wish they'd bring back that old school boom bap. You know, I've seen it. I've seen it in comments and shit. Like, I don't know. People say silly things and they're not to be taken seriously. Boom bap. First of all, boom bap has never left. It's still. If you want to hear that, there's, you know, thousands or millions. I don't know. There's a lot of it is coming out every year, and the best of it last year was Auditorium Volume 1, Pete Rock and Common. I did a meme. I don't know if I want to put it up on the screen because it's a little irreverent, but it was basically like cutting out CL Smooth and just putting Common like on the original album. Like that's how I felt about it at the time. I was just like, man, it's like 1991 but better and right now. You know, there's a lot of great tributes to Dilla, little you know, little quotes here and there to sort of say thank you to him and his memory, and I appreciate that. That was, you know, they were close. All like Common and Pete Rock both had a lot of respect and love for Dilla, so it shines through on the album, and that's part of what's special about it. It's a small part of what's special about it. The wordplay, I think, is my favorite. There's so much going on, and I don't have the lyrics right in front of me, but I just wanted to, yeah, I just wanted to shout it out. It's great. It's such a great album. There's a lot of great albums last year. I also should shout out Rakim. Rakim came out of retirement and killed it. I liked his flows. Most of his flows were better than a lot of the guests, but that's no disrespect to the guests. You know, the featured artists. There's a lot of featured artists. It seemed to be part of his goal for the album is to put his friends on and showcase some newer talent, and that's, you know, even more respectable. On top of the fact that his skills haven't diminished in all this time, he's still on top of his game like he's always been. So that's been great. It was great to hear from Rakim last year. It's like, wow. Another huge milestone that happened in 2024 in the world of rap. Micah 9 beat A$AP Rock for the top spot on the most words, most vocabulary. I forget the exact number, but I think he went over 9,000. Oh, Micah Nine, man. So I didn't know, I hadn't heard of him before this happened. So, but yeah, so his song, Micah Nine's songs are like, whoa, they're so he's got a couple different styles going on. I really like it's more of a pop song by my standards, by Micah Nine standards. It's more of a pop song, but the Cadillac, I forget what it's called exactly, but the Cadillac song is like, ooh. First of all, that beat is so smooth. That beat just takes you straight back to like summer of 1979, or I don't know, 1970s. It takes you into that. It takes you into the place that he wants to take you, and then he just keeps you there. It's just got this sweet flow, and the lyrics are full of nostalgia and empowerment. It's kind of like a, yeah. There's a lot of empowerment, a strong sense of community buried in all that nostalgia, and it's just got like, it's just a perfect song. So, uh, Cadillac Nights, that's what it's called. Cadillac Nights. Boom, 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 boom. No, it's smooth. It's fire. Cadillac Nights is really good. But I was listening. I was just jamming like the entire Gramophone album. Just the whole thing from start to finish just had me on my feet, just headbanging, just thrashing. It's just like wow. And then even more so for 1969, that like again, like, and it's not just the quantity of words used; it's how he puts them together. This dude's an artist, a yeah. There's a lot of Micah Nine has a he's a storyteller. He'll take you to whole other realms, and uh, he's talking about here and now. He's talking about life on Earth, but he'll take you to another planet to tell you that story, and he does it so well. So I appreciate that about Micah Nine. I guess we'll talk about strange music first. I'm in awe, in awe of Tech Nine. I'm just blown away by his style and everything that him and his team have accomplished over the decades. It's hard to pick a favorite song, but my favorite song is "Like I Ain't." There's a lot of songs that I love. I love Strange Music as a label. I would love to work for them. I make strange music. They have a good. I feel like everyone on Tech Nine's team, maybe not literally everyone, figuratively everyone, virtually everyone on his team is more than capable of taking any of my funky non 4/4 patterns and doing something extraordinary with them. Um, so I mean I reached out once. I don't know if it'd be appropriate to do a follow up email. Uh, I figure I could just leave it alone. They have plenty. They have plenty of beat makers. They have plenty of, you know, they have their people already. Um, but that would be one of my dreams, like to make a beat for Tech Nine, to make a beat for Kendrick, to make a beat for Brother Ali would be pretty cool. There's some people like when I make beats, like I know I'm not that great at it, but like when I do, those are some of the people that I'm thinking about. Like, what would they do? How would they do it? I've made some beats for people uh, closer to home, like people actually know. I made a beat for Nuke Noe, uh, Young Man Nuke. It's N Lot K. He has a radio show that I really appreciate. he did. I've been on his show twice, and it's a really good deal. If you want to get on there, it's totally worth it, and I look forward to being on there again. He's a good host. Make sure that your song has the bestest sound quality possible before you have him play it, uh, just to make sure, because it's better to show how his podcast is in his own words through his Instagram. And there's this really fun rap that you got to see. This thing is rad.
I'm a take paper, smoking cannabis. The young man knew putting flows in the mix. Gotta come correct as I write this. Cause I know ain't many left that can do it like this. Keep it real with my pages, smile with my haters. Sending those agents, I'm flying through the matrix. I take it back to the basics. Then hit the booth as I'm running through the trap, no aces.
Those dudes are funny just in general, but man, when he gets on that flow, just watch his hands. Like that's such like framework, space work. When you're an actor, you'll see on his Instagram, he's an aspiring actor, and he deserves to get hired. Just watch. It's like a 14-second clip. First of all, the verse is fire. The verse had me headbanging for like an hour. It's a 14-second clip. I just had it on repeat. I'm just like, yeah, fuck yeah. But then the way that he's dancing with like just his hands and like head bobs, and he's using his phone, so it's just like the space of the phone. Like that is some detailed choreography for such a small space. And I just, yeah. That's someone who deserves to be in movies. That's someone who's done their homework. Space work. That's such an that's why people love Bill Murray at first. Yeah, he's charming, but like space work, it's the way with space work. Yeah. Now that we're talking about it, Mike and Nine and Morning a Black Star and Nuke talk about space work. Oh my god. They're all like dedicated to their various types of space work. Indeed. Another rapper I've been really into lately is Da Weirdo. He's amazing. He's got so many intense lyrics, and he goes right for the heart of some really dark themes. One line that stands out to me, and I think about it kind of all the time, is I was baptized with my pops holding his pistol, finger licking bean pies, just a hot-headed brother. That line fucks me up just all the time. I think about what he could mean by that. I was baptized with my pops holding his pistol. Like, man. I don't know. There's a few different ways to interpret it, and I'm sure that I'm missing a few here. But first of all, just on the surface of it, you're in church, you're getting baptized, your dad's the one holding you, and either the baby or the dad is holding a pistol at a gun at the same time as the baptism's taking place. Right? That's already kind of an intense image. But then you're like, is he talking about a literal baptism? No, probably not. And it's like mafia style, baptized in blood. It's baptized with your first kill. That's with his pops, with his dad's own gun, on purpose, on accident. Is it just like he's playing with a gun, the gun goes off? Like, you see how it's just, this is one line. This is one line from a 2-minute song. And he rapped, he's not a speed rapper, he's a poet. He wants to make sure you hear each and every word, and he really lingers on them sometimes. Like, just like, he wants you to hear this shit, right? So he's like, I was baptized with my pops holding his pistol. Right. Now, pistol could be another metaphor, and there could be some reasons to kill your dad on purpose. And there's other things besides blood or holy water that you could get splashed with in the process. Finger licking bean pies. Just a hot-headed brother. You see how it just gets darker and darker and darker, like the more you meditate on this line. The song is called Afraid of Church. The song that I was just described, that's the opening line of a song called Afraid of Church. Isn't that powerful? It's like, I don't know why this dude didn't win a Grammy. Holy crap. He's still doing it. That was from 2022. The album is called Broken Ugly, and it is, whoa, wow. It's not even that long of an album. It's like 20 minutes. I would have that on replay for days when I first heard it. Especially Afraid of Church. The one after that, Sunday Dinner. Sunday Dinner's not the same no more. Talks of gun wars and who got shot. Down at the liquor store. It's like, oh my god. So he's just, and the hooks are just, again, he is a poet. He's drawing all his own album well, not necessarily drawing, sometimes he does other stuff too, but he's drawing and designing his own album covers. He's directing, he's heavily involved in how the music videos are shot, and he's directing the directors of them. He's mixing his own stuff. He's in the studio with it. He's, man, wow. Wow. Watch out, Kendrick. Here comes the weirdo. Yeah, I'm a big fan. Another rapper that I absolutely love, and I've met him. It's like I cooked a few meals for him. I'll get to that in a moment here, but his name is OG Nappy Long Locks. OGLL. Yeah, OG Nappy Long Locks is rad as fuck. He's so cool, and he's got that back to the Kendrick thing. He's his own dude. These are all their own dudes. And I'm comparing him to Kendrick because Kendrick, he's so hot right now. So if you love Kendrick Lamar and you want to be Team Kendrick, you got to know that he's not the only player in the game. There's some other people who are rocking it just as hard and ain't got their flowers yet. And one of them is OG Nappy Long Locks. And he's got it like Kendrick in the sense that, he's got like Lil Wayne. First of all, he's got like Lil Wayne. He gets the lyrics from the sky, just like Lil Wayne. Yeah, no, like if you ever see OG freestyle, he can just he'll just be chilling there. He might maybe he'll take a hit of some weed or something. Be smoking a blunt and take a hit. And next thing you know, he's up there dancing, and these aren't, he didn't have any lyrics when he got started, and not like in his career, but like at the start of the smoking session. It's like, it's not like he planned on and whatever, but inspiration strikes him, and then he's like, I can't even. I won't even try. He'll rip a verse, you know, it in the ballpark of how fast Tech Nine can do it with with the dynamics of Kendrick and Lil Wayne. And the crazy thing is, this is what I really want to hammer home. He's Kendrick in the sense that you don't even notice how fire the lyrics are because you're too busy dancing. Like you're too involved in the style of it that it takes like 3 listens before the lyrics hit you. That's the magic of OG Nappy Long Locks right there. Is okay. So like, there's this concert, and there's all these artists before he gets up on stage. There's all these other people. At, I guess we'll back it up. We'll back it up from the beginning. I had my farm, but I didn't actually have like a home. Like I owned the land, but I was homeless. So I would go stay in town, and I stayed in town with this Guyanese dude, and he had a little stage, and he had like, like he kept renovating the kitchen and adding rooms to the property so that he could sort of do like an Airbnb kind of thing. So OG and his whole crew come through, and they all crash there. It's kind of amazing because like you don't think of rock stars like living in these shithole hotels, but they always have, and they always will, because they're rock stars. And OG Nappy Long Locks, I think he's a rock star right now. And if you don't think that, then let me tell you, he's a rock star in the making. So I think he's a rock star already. He's just like, whoa. So, like, whoa. I know I've been saying that a lot. I mean it. I'm serious. I'm serious. It's not just everything I just said. And I do want to come back to that particular concert, which is, wow. I still remember it fondly. Last year, like 2024, in the midst of all these other rock stars being rock stars in the world, this fool right here, like every day of the summer, like literally did 100. He said, "I'm going to make 100 songs this year," and because he can just come up with fire flows off the top of his head, that's what he did. He just like woke up in the morning and came up with a song, and like next thing you know, there's a music video for it, and there's just a ton of these music videos all up on his channel. OSO Worldwide. OSO Worldwide. He killing it. Dude's been killing it the whole time I've known him, and he's getting, his powers are more powerful now. Like, he's getting stronger by the day. It's like, he had I don't know what level of a hit he got. I don't know, like, if it was gold or platinum. I don't know. I know that Bring That Ass to Daddy was everywhere. I think it was 2003. I'm getting my years jumbled up. It might have been 2002. But yeah, Bring That Ass to Daddy. Hell yeah, Bring That Ass to Daddy. I can't. Like I said, he's got, his style is so fire. Like it's hard to imitate, but yeah, no, it's something you just gotta listen to. You just check out his YouTube. Check out his Instagram. Just follow him, like his stuff. Same with everyone else I'm talking about. Doe Weirdo and Morning of Black Star are amazing. And you gotta check them out. So OG came through this Airbnb, and I'm just being a bum. Like, I'm just bumming around at this place, and he just happens to be there while I'm there, right? But sometimes I'll cook. I felt like that would be my way of contributing to this whole thing, since I didn't want to, like, there's a whole bunch of stuff I didn't want to do. I didn't want to do any of the construction. I like doing construction. I just didn't want to. I didn't. This guy that I was living with wasn't like. It wasn't a healthy situation, and I just wanted like cooking was a way of expressing myself that I felt like I wasn't really. I didn't really have an outlet at the time, so it was kind of about me, but I made some mac and cheese. I made some fried chicken, and I made some homemade cheesecake. I love dairy. I love cheese a lot. It's like the main reason I want to move to the Midwest is for the cheese. California has good cheese too, but I mean Wisconsin, like California makes good cheese, but then they ship it elsewhere. And Wisconsin, you just go to any grocery store or just on the side of the road, and there's someone who's like super proud of the cheese they made. I'm off track. I might leave that part in. I shouldn't. I'm way off track. The, the, the point is I spent I spent a whole day cooking for them, and he still talks about it in my comments. Like if I post mac and cheese, he's like, I remember. It's like, oh wow. It's like I appreciate you remembering. It's like, this is a rock star remembers little old me. But yeah, so this concert, this is all of that Airbnb stuff was in service of a concert that the Airbnb host was putting on in Los Angeles at this like art gallery thing. Um, it was cool. It was fine. There was a couple good performers before Long Locks got on stage. Uh, they were okay up until he got on stage. We were all kind of looking at the dude at the host funny, like, come on. But so then it's OG Nappy Longlocks' turn, right? Like I said, there's a lot. I mean, he got a lot of artists to come from all over. OG came from Nashville, all the way from freaking Nashville to do this show in Los Angeles, and so he gets on stage and he starts dancing and he starts singing, and I mean one of the songs is just called "Yeah," and that's most of the lyrics. It's yeah, yeah, it's a hype song. It's mostly there to get the crowd warmed up, and it works perfectly. And he's dancing his ass off, and the beat is on fire, and like it went from a whatever, like before him, like there's like a clear before and after. It's like before him, people were walking out. As soon as he gets on stage, people were coming up on this off of the street. Like we didn't start selling tickets until he got on stage. We just like people who were there were mostly people who were like friends of the people who were invited, kind of thing. When OG Nappy Longlocks got up on that stage, people were walking up off the street paying whatever price we said. We're like, oh, $10. Now it's $20. Now it's $30. They're like, oh, sure, fuck yeah. Like, let's all do it. Like, let's all, the 4 or 5, groups of 4 or 5 people at a time off the street. Like they were just walking along, and they, whatever, they had a plan or an intention, or that they weren't coming here to see a concert, but OG Nappy Longlocks was rocking so hard inside. They're like, what's going on here? We got to be part of it. And he does that he brings that energy to every show. Like you'll see his clips, his shorts, whatever, the Facebook stories, the Instagram stories, where he's just like that. He's full of energy not all the time, but when he gets on stage, he brings life to the crowd. Like, it doesn't matter who came before him and whatever was happening before he gets up on stage. It's when it's showtime, it is showtime. And man, I was I was just so thrilled to be a part of it. Like I just felt so blessed that day, and I think about it all the time. I'm just like, just hella blessed to know him, and I think y'all should check him out. Again, like he's got 100 new songs, so the it's a treasure trove of music that you got to check out. I really appreciate Dr. Eric Thomas, E.T. the Hip Hop Preacher. Um, his his style of speaking, he's a motivational speaker, so this is kind of the whole thing. His style of speaking is very very inspirational. He's all fired up, and uh, I really like how he works in his jokes, and he's got a really uh, he's got a great sense of comedic timing and style. I said style already. It I really like the way he makes his points and the way that he tells his story and the passion. He really knows how to get a crowd fired up, and I get fired up when I listen to him. So, in fact, you could almost say that the entire my favorite album out of his work is the one that's called Dr. Eric Thomas. It's the one where uh, he says it in there. He's like, in the first album, you know, you said you were going to get your PhD, and you didn't do that, and I let it slide. And the second time, you said you were going to get your PhD, and I still let it go. And the third time, you said you're going to get your PhD, and it's like, come on, man. It's like, I didn't do it right at all. But you get what I'm saying. So this one, it's like, I did it. I finally got my PhD. It's like, oh my God. So it's like, wow. Yeah. Just that, everything about this story, everything about that album, just he'll tell you. So he's like, I was homeless, I was eating out of a trash. Next thing now I got a PhD. By the time he's his album after that is called The Prescription, and it's even better. It's an even better album from a technical standpoint. Like the message is fire in The Prescription. And I do think of them both together. But if I had to pick one, I would pick Dr. Eric Thomas. The album, it's so good. It's got a lot of tracks that helps too. You know it's jam packed. Where The Prescription has got like 7 or 8. They're longer and they're more potent. They have each one has a stronger, more focused message to it. Even one is even called Focus. That was the first Dr. Eric Thomas track that I ever heard. Um, but yeah, that's what I need to do now. I need to focus. I if you listen to Dr. Eric Thomas and then you see these podcasts, you'll see where I'm getting my fire from. I mean, it's not just that I'm mad at Some More News. It's also because I'm listening to this motivational speaker who gets me all fired up before I do my thing. Like, yeah, um, Beast Mode in particular, Beast Mode, and I Got Tired, and Uncle Warren. Those are some of the ones I use for inspiration. Uncle Warren's a really good one for everybody right now. I think that's a good message. Fucking love the. Like I said, this album is just one of my favorites. Grandma's Kitchen, uh, and Dirty Laundry. He's got all these messages about how, if you want the big time success, you have to do the small time chores. He says that, you got to be faithful over few. He says that phrase a lot. I vaguely remember that from the Bible, but I don't. Yeah, he rocks that phrase and puts it into practice and makes sure to describe to the audience how to put it into practice. And I have mad respect for Dr. Eric Thomas. Mad respect for the dude. There's this Jamaican R&B artist, Leo Carmichael. I think his first album was last year. I don't remember. I know that he's pretty prolific, but it hasn't been around that long. He's been really busy in that short amount of time. This album, yeah, it's a little more Americanized than most albums I listen to from Jamaica, but he's got his own style. I appreciate Leo Carmichael. I don't watch a lot of TV. One of the shows I've been getting into lately is Abbott Elementary. I enjoy it a lot. Kinta Brunson and Tyler Williamson. The guy from Everybody Hates Chris. I swear it's just like Rob Lowe. He hasn't aged. The dude hasn't aged at all. I don't know if he made some deal with the Leprechaun or what, but like, yeah, he hasn't. He's barely aged at all. From Everybody Hates Chris, he's mostly gotten taller. Like, I don't know. He's still, like, he's funnier than ever. And I love his character in Abbott Elementary. He's like sweet and goofy, and like, I don't, all of them, all of the characters on the show are really, really well thought out, and I love. One of my favorite things about the show is showing how hard teachers work for their kids for no reason other than it's their job and they care. And yeah, it's very beautifully done, and it's hilarious. They've also had some really cool guest stars, really interesting guest stars. Abbott Elementary takes place in Philadelphia, and they've had the Always Sunny crew. They just did a crossover where the Always Sunny crew is on Abbott Elementary, right? Like that just happened, and it was almost random, but they take place in Philadelphia, and in like the real world, so like it's not like the blah 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 universe, the Marvel Cinematic Universe. It's here and now, right? Patty's Pub is over there, and Abbott Elementary is over there, so they had a crossover where, as part of community service for the many illegal things that they do on Always Sunny, they're doing community service by cleaning up and doing volunteer work at Abbott. And then at some point in the near future, the crew from Abbott is going to be on Always Sunny, as it's a full crossover. I'm really excited about it. it's something. It's something that I mean, people. I guess it's probably happened more. It could probably happen now because of like I in other contexts it might be a gimmick or something, but I guess you could call it that. Regardless, that's not what I'm saying here. I'm saying like when Abbott and Always Sunny do it, it feels different. It doesn't feel like a gimmick. It feels like a throwback. It it's not like the studio. I don't know. I can't speak on what extent the studio like said anything about this, but it doesn't feel like some out of touch producer's note where it's like we need to do this for money, blah blah blah. It's like no, this is Kenta and Charlie Day getting together. Like we need to do this for art. It's got a it's special. It's a very special, and it felt like it was out of nowhere, and it just makes perfect sense, and I love it. So uh, that's the newest reason to check it out. I mean, it's always been funny. The janitor, I forget the actor's name off the top of my head, but he's oh my god, he steals every scene he's in. Um, a lot of Abbott reminds me of The Office, and the janitor's kind of like Creed Bratton. Let's look him up. What's the janitor's name? I can't let this slide. I can't. Abbott. William Sanford Davis. William Sanford Davis steals the show. In every scene he's in, he's the funniest motherfucker in the scene. And I don't know. I honestly don't know how they get through each episode without just cracking each other out. All the whole crew all together. I don't know how they manage to get through an episode without making each other just laugh the whole time. Without like they have to say their lines with a straight face, and I feel like that's impossible. Like I don't know, like seriously, how do they say their lines with a straight face when they're all being funny as fuck all the time? Another rapper that I've been just obsessed with this year is Protege. That's the name of the band. OJ is the name of the guy. Um, but yeah, so Protege. It's not just rap. It's reggae. There's some soul and rock in there. A little funky sometimes. I hesitate to say that they're a funk band. I would say it's rap and reggae, but it's there's he's got a lot of influences and it shows. It shows in the songs. I'd say the one that was most. I mean, first of all, there's probably 30. There's about 30 songs from him that I think are my favorite songs. like no, I mean like obsessed. I There's so many. The Hills, Matter of Time. Um, oh, No Guarantee. There's so many good ones that I'm like trying to like. But the one I really want to tell you about, more than anything else, is Criminal. That's where I first heard about Dr. Walter Rodney and how Europe underdeveloped Africa. That's the level of lyricism that he's going for, where he's like, I forget how he does it, and it's a little harder with the Jamaican patois. It's because you understand, I understand exactly what he's saying, but then I try to say it back and I can't do it, and I'm like, oh man, That's the magic of dialect. But yes, um, I know I'm not supposed to use those interchangeably, but I'm gonna. So protege, he man, the dude's got a flow. He's got a flow. Self defense. Uh, like that's one of the main comments on there, because he's like, um, again, I can't really like. You hear it like, yeah, I can sing along, but no, you can't, because he's got that. His flow is so fucking on point. But like self defense is basically like they call us criminals for listening to music loud, and then they'll shoot us. The police will shoot us for it. It's like, which one of us is the criminal? It's like, exactly. And then so criminal is like that, but like the flip side of it, where it's like, yeah, I'm a criminal. I'm a criminal. I'm a criminal like Walter Rodney. I'm a criminal like Dutty Bookman. I'm a criminal like Marcus Garvey. You know, he's like, am I really the criminal here, or am I the revolutionary? You know, am I the criminal, or am I fighting for social justice and for change, where uh, other people maybe are fighting for their own pocketbook? And yeah, no, his lyric, I just, wow. And all the musicians that I've mentioned tonight are just like amazing lyricists, and Protege's the one I've been really stuck on. And it's not any particular album. That's why when I say like, you know, um, when I say Auditorium's my favorite album from last year, or like Not Like Us, really, I just take all four of the diss tracks as a singular song, like one 20-ish minute song. So like Euphoria and 616 and Meet the Grams and Not Like Us all together as one song. Um, so that's my song of the year, and then the album of the year would be Auditorium Volume 1. And then artist of the year, probably Protege. But it's hard because I've named all these other artists that I'm obsessed with them. They're all on rotation. They're all like, they've all been on rotation all year. A lot of Dilla too. Lot of other people. We can't get to everyone. Um, well, we can get to Bushu Banton. I got a list right here. I'm looking through the list. Buju Banton. That's one of the ways that I found Protege, was listening to Stephen Marley. Stephen Marley is my favorite of the Marley family. He's by far my favorite Marley. More than Bob, more than Ziggy or Damien. Um, his son passed away recently. It's really sad. His son passed away from asthma, like an asthma attack from hell, like to heaven, but from hell. Like I can only imagine. Like I sometimes picture Joe Merce's last moments, and because it's like drowning on dry land. It's horrifying. But I feel really bad for Stephen Marley. I know what that's like. Robert Townsend is a really cool director. He's more than just the director. I mean, he's the writer, director, actor, producer. On just a bunch of projects. All kinds of projects. I think probably his most famous would be Eddie Murphy. He directed Eddie Murphy's Raw. It's hard to top that as far as fame goes. But I'm sure a lot of people will recognize Meteor Man. That's a good one. For in the process of studying
What if I don't make it?
for this, I finally got around to watching Hollywood Shuffle. I'd been putting it off.
What if you do make
I
it?
feel ashamed of myself because
And what
wow,
if you are that
it's it came out before
you
UHF.
never know until you
A UHF stole the Rambo scene from here,
Mr. Batty,
and
how do you tell a good
yeah,
script?
I just
Does your character?
wow, it's a really fun and funny movie,
No.
and it's heartfelt,
It's a
and it just feels
What
you
about
know
art?
It's not
he's
about
got his
art.
own voice.
It's about sequel.
You know, he's
One film.
like
Done.
all great
Everything
auteurs.
Just look at me.
It's
Better,
his
better,
movie.
better.
A Robert
I read the
Townsend
magazine
movie is
that
a
you still
Robert
take acting
Townsend
classes.
movie. It's
And
no one
that you
else's
don't drink or do
movie.
drugs.
And
Don't say drugs around the man.
it's
And don't say
so
coca-free
Hollywood
based
Shuffle was so
Unless you got
good.
some.
It's got
I'ma
got
work
the
with you
Wayans
someday.
brothers in it.
I want to do a movie with you someday, Mr. Batty.
I
had an
love the
audition today,
Wayans
man. It was
brothers.
good,
I
man.
love In Living Color. I love and We Get You Sucker and Major Payne were great. Scary Movie, the first two Scary Movies before the Weinsteins fucked everything up for them, like they do everything else that they touched. Um, yeah, so I like the Wayans brothers a lot, and uh, I really appreciate Robert Townsend. I think more people, the world would be a better place if more people thought and created the way Robert Townsend does. Most of all, I'm a huge fan of Stacey Abrams, House of Representatives leader. She ran for governor of Georgia. She's an author. She's written hella books, like 8 books. I don't know. She's written a children's book. She stays busy. Governing Magazine named her Public Official of the Year in like 2014. She's got all these organizations that she's a part of. Uh, she's an actress. She was on an episode of Star Trek Discovery as the president, and I would love to see her be president. I think she's brilliant. She shows leadership qualities all the time, and I'm blown away. The biggest thing that I was impressed with was the 2020 election really stood out for me. She pushed hard for voter turnout. She made sure that people understood the voting process. She that's the biggest thing that she's contributed to. That again, it just totally blows me away. Her leadership qualities, every bit as much of a leader as Bernie Sanders, in the same kind of way. I think she's I think she's a stronger candidate even than Kamala Harris, and uh, y- yeah, I just I admire her so much and everything she does.